It's always heroes running through dungeons, slaying monsters, and scoring loot. The modest shopkeepers that provide for the local economy get stuck selling single-use keys and fixing broken pots, at most dealing with a wayward cat purse. Well, Will is here to challenge that notion, so grab your sword, lock your shop, and get ready to delve in Moonlighter. Welcome to Taking It Offline, the place for busy people to find the next game for their collection. My name is Ian, and today I'm recommending Moonlighter for anyone who likes running dungeons, running shops, and building local economies. In Moonlighter, you'll play as Will, last in his lineage to inherit the Moonlighter, a store in Rhinaka Village. There's just one problem. Will doesn't want to be stuck behind a counter all day selling bits and bobs to heroes and village goers. Plus, there's way too much operations knowledge required to create and track an inventory management system, and nobody wants to do that. No, Will wants to delve into dungeons, which comes along with the benefit of free loot to be sold in the shop. And fortunately for Will, and you dear viewer, is that the village of Rhinaka was built literally steps away from a bunch of dungeons chock full of loot. So get kitted, enter the dungeon, collect your treasure, and then leave your dungeon by way of your trusty Escape the Dungeon pendant, and then put that newfound treasure for sale to the locals. Improve your shop, invite new tradespeople to the town, upgrade your gear, and dive deeper, all with the intent of getting through the 5th and final dungeon, and making a little coin along the way. Moonlighter can be played in bite-sized sessions. The core gameplay loop occurs in 2 phases, the store phase and the dungeon phase. In the store phase, you'll set up your shop with the items you want to sell and the prices you'll sell them at. Then customers come in and they'll either buy things or they'll get angry about having to wear a mask and demand to speak to the manager. Then when you're done selling things, close up the shop for the day and proceed to phase 2, the dungeon phase. In this phase, you'll run from room to room fighting baddies and finding loot. When you're done in the dungeon, forfeit a fraction of a day's profit and teleport back to the surface, bringing all your hard-earned treasure with you. Then, rinse and repeat, sprinkling in visits to blacksmiths and enchanters as needed for variety. This core loop can be as long or as short as you want, as you set your own shop hours, #boss, and delve only as long as you want. It's a question of how deep you want to go and how much you want to risk, because if you run out of HP, you lose all of your loot. The game's good if you're busy because you can easily decide how long you want to play, and put it down when you finish one dive, or even just load up to sell your hard-won treasure from your last session. Moonlighter is very simple to learn and play. When in the dungeon, which is definitely the most complex part of the game, Will controls very easily. In addition to basic moving and attacking, Will can dodge roll, swap weapons, and quaff a poche. And that's all you need to get started in Moonlighter. When you're above ground running the shop, game mechanics are even simpler. You put things on tables and set their prices, then as customers come in to look at your wares, they make a little face to indicate how much they like your price. And then that response is automatically recorded in your handy-dandy market research journal. If you ever need to figure out how to set prices, open it up and check away. And as a side note, when you place an item up for sale and select the notebook while hovering on the item, it automatically turns to that page. That's just a nice little quality of life touch. This means you won't need to learn convoluted techniques to get through the game. It's mostly swish, swish, roll, stab, sell. Moonlighter is also nice if you don't want to track an intense story game. All of the lore and narrative after the tutorial is delivered in bite-sized chunks through books, journals, and scribblings. You recover these lore bits in the dungeon itself, so most of the owners have long since met their doom in the dark dungeons below. So if you only have time to play here and there, or have to take a break for a week or so, you won't really forget much of the story. Just remember that Will owns the shop and wants to get through all the dungeons, and you'll be set. Moonlighter is a great game if you haven't got a ton of time. Its design direction is pleasant and lighthearted, the core gameplay loop is fun, and dungeon delving, loot collecting, and backpack management is fun instead of tedious. The shopkeeping phase is enjoyable, balancing the cost of treasure to the happiness of the consumers. From the short minimum playtime, the easy-to-learn mechanics, and the lack of information you, the player, need to remember, Moonlighter lends itself well to the busy person. I give Moonlighter 5 of whatever this thing is out of 5 whatever this thing is. Highly recommended.